Hey guys, and welcome to the final part of Crash Bandicoot, The Wrath of Cortex. We've collected all of the relics, but we still have the final few gems to collect here in the hidden warp room. So, once Crash is done with this Wumpa Fruit, we're gonna go and collect them now. We have Nighttime, Ghost Town, Ice Station Bandicoot, Solar Bowler, and Force of Nature. And that's where we're going to go into first. So we've already seen all of these in Time Trial Mode, but now it's time to do them proper. And why did I start with Force of Nature? Because this one I find to be the worst box gem in the entire game. So what do we think happened when I was recording this? I'll tell you what happened when I was recording. In fact, we'll see what happened as I'm recording this. Luckily, this didn't end up being all that bad. But I still hate this level regardless. I love the music, but I hate the level. So, it's a snowboard level, just like Avalanche, only you're on the snowboard the entire time here. Firstly, the placement of several of these skiers are horrible. I don't know why they're in some of these locations. Maybe if I stood still at the beginning, that won't happen, but, you know, I can't see that. Then there are the times where you have to make those jumps. Sadly, I also can't jump on the mammoths. I mean, you can jump on the mammoths, but you just bounce off. You won't get an extra life this time. The issue here is that this level has no checkpoints, which is probably a good thing in some ways because of how easy it is to miss some of these boxes. Do not boost. Don't hold down the circle button or whatever it is on the other consoles. Don't boost. Never boost except for one part. You don't want to have all the speed. You want to have as much time as you can to react. This is the only section where I'd say boost, because I think it's the only way you can make that jump. That jump also doesn't like to work a lot of the time, and it's much harder because you also can't see yourself to really judge whereabouts you're supposed to go. I will say this is my first try. I did manage to break nearly every box on my first try, for reasons that we will see later on. I think I did mention it in the end of the last video. You don't need to jump here, you will... Well, you do need to jump. If you boost there, you should just go right into the box. Since I wasn't boosting, I did have to jump a bit there. Immediately... Well, not immediately. Get past the nitros and jump back up here. It's a very simple level. This is all you're doing is just snowboarding towards the camera. These levels are really not very interesting at all. I mean, none of them are hidden entrances to other levels like they were in Crash 3. So there's a bit more variety. Jump for the gem. But I say this, but one level is, well, we'll see what that level is later on. Yeah, bit of another difficult one because you can't really see where you're going. There we are. Jump, because that one's on top of the nitro crate. Every one of these levels has a hidden gem, so let's hit that nitro switch box. Oh no, let's go past the nitro switch box after breaking every box in the level. And I failed. Oh, I felt so horrible when that happened. For the first time ever, I usually have to die over and over and over again. Finally managed to break every box in the level on my first try. And then I hesitate a bit because I think it's an actual nitro crate. And then I'm like, no wait, it's a nitro switch box. And then I missed it. What I should have done is just exited the level and then gone back in. Rather than go into the warp room. But yeah, we don't need to see that again. It's the exact same thing. Oh, that was horrible. But yeah, every one of these levels does have two gems in it. One is the standard box gem. You also have another gem, the sort of darker coloured one that's black in the level and then it is grey when you look at it in the warp room. There's one of those in every level. They're basically the same as crystals. You find it hidden somewhere in the level, or you have to complete the objective at the end. They are exactly the same as crystals. No difference whatsoever. So now it is time for Ice Station Bandicoot. So this level is based off of Rings of Power from Crash 3. Except while in that level you were in your plane, and we have a glider here, but I'm quite glad we're not in that because of how close it is to the camera. But in this we have to ride the copter pack. Which isn't that bad considering that this thing still controls way better than the jetpack in Crash 2. It's this thing that I find confusing. We're racing against a polar bear on a magic carpet. Now again, I started questioning all of this last time. Where does this polar bear come from? So, this polar bear comes absolutely out of nowhere. It's on a magic carpet. I mean, the level looks like Eskimo Roll. And you can find some, like, early images of the game, and it shows that this level was originally on foot. But I just find it so odd. That's a bit of an awkward one. It's a bit low down there. The nitro crates can suddenly surprise you, though, so do be careful. But yeah, I'm just racing against a polar bear on a magic carpet for no reason whatsoever. And I love how it still has an arrow pointing to where I need to go through these hoops, despite the fact that the hoops are way closer to each other than they were in Crash 3. Because it's not like I'm going really fast in a plane here. It's not like I can spin and go through the hoops as I'm spinning to get a speed boost. Like that. And there we go. It's very, very easy. To be honest, there are 2 race levels in this warp room. For both of them, I just completely forget that I'm racing every single time. It's like I can see the polar bear. I can see Crunch at the very beginning of these levels. But then I just plain forget that I'm in a race. Because the race is so easy to win. And the only other race that we've had so far was Smokey and the Bandicoot. But at least Entropy provided a little bit of challenge. But no, not these 2 races. You will forget that you're even racing. It's no challenge whatsoever. You should never lose the race, and you can get the boxes on your first go very easily. And now it's time for the only level in this warp room that is platforming. None of the others are. Big shock. But it's a Coco level. Oh, this looks familiar. This is looking very familiar. Oh, it's dark. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Gauntlet. Again. And that's all this level is. It's the Gauntlets. Same one that we saw back in Pyro's warp room as level 11. There's no death route this time. A few enemies are in different locations. And we're playing as Coco. That's it. That's it. It's the Gauntlet again. Okay, the hammers are sealed away. For some reason. I don't know why the later level gets rid of one of the hazards. What I will say is, don't fall down there. There's nothing but nitro crates down there. You know, it was full of boxes in Crash 3, and then in the Gauntlet, and then we could just jump back up again. You know, we had bouncy boxes, that was fine. Mistimed that, now I've got to run, this is the other issue, now I've got to die. I hate the placement of that gem so much. There we go. I mean, I like the music again, but this is just the Gauntlet. There's nothing new here. But yeah, don't fall down that area because there's no bouncy box to send you back up. Not even a metal one. If you fall down there, well, if you don't have Aku Aku, you're gonna die through death by nitro. But if you do have Aku Aku, you're stuck. You can't get back up again. Why are there so many nitro crates in this level? And yet we have this Firefly, really fat Firefly. So you'd think that the level would be something like the dark levels in Crash 2 and 3. You know, we had Totally Fly, we had Night Fight, we had Bug Light. It isn't. This Firefly never goes away. When you stop, it stops. You know, they could at least, if they had to remake the Gauntlet, and I really don't know why they had to redo the Gauntlet again. It's not even a remake, it's the same level. Look, this is nothing new. These nitro crates are in exactly the same spots. This is nothing new either, except I missed the jump this time. But at least have the Firefly run away from you after a few seconds. You know, that was always the point of the other games. You know, you had to get to the end, in Crash 1's case, before Aku Aku became too dim, but after that, the Firefly would disappear after a while. That doesn't happen here. This fly is with you throughout the entire level, and it's not constantly moving. It moves when you move. But I just question, why are we going through the Gauntlet again? Was this the last level? Did they run out of time? So they just decided, let's just do the Gauntlet again, only give it even more nitro crates and have them play as Coco instead? Because that's my best guess, because otherwise this is just the Gauntlet. In the dark. With Coco, that is it. There is no other difference here. So I really don't know what the point of all of this is. I will say though, I hate this ending section. There's nothing here. You'd think, but then you see the switch box up there and you're like, oh, outline boxes. Okay, so let's jump up here. But once the fly gets to the end, the fly doesn't go back at the end. It will normally. Like it did a bit there, but not enough. So you can't actually see that there's nitro crates there. But yeah, that was it. That was nighttime. I love the name, but what is the point of all that? Why are we just going through the gauntlet again? I am convinced that was the last level made for the game, and so they just put the gauntlet in. With hardly any changes whatsoever. The hammers are sealed away, that massive fire is no longer there, there isn't a death route. I'm curious if it's still possible to enter the death route in some way or another. But what was the point? It's just the gauntlet again. So now we have Ghost Town. This is another racing level. And I guess because there's no boss fight in this warp room, they decided, you know what, let's put Crunch in this level instead. So we're racing against Crunch. We're on the minecart again from Compactor Reactor. And we have a bunch of directions to go in. So we're going to take this route first. But let me just say, if you're not interested in box gems, and I don't know why you wouldn't be, if you play, well, I guess you could just want to play the level again, I guess. You went after the relics, but not the gems. Well, firstly, you need to hit all three of those switch boxes. One will activate in each lap. So hit one, then the next lap it will be there. There's different directions to go in. 3 at the start. But the thing with this level, you don't have to do anything. You can put the controller down on your lap, on the floor, whatever you like. You will win. There'll be a few moments where you'll get a bit close, but you will win. Crash wins by doing absolutely nothing. You do not need to do anything in this level. This part always gets me a little bit tense because I gotta be quick. Both to break the crates and to avoid the nitros. And there we go. Just make sure. I do find sometimes I go right through these switch boxes and then nothing happens. Go over the nitro switch box. This was another level where it's just like with Force of Nature, I did miss that switch box. I saw I was leaning over and I don't know why. I think I was trying to go on a specific track. But then I went right over the nitro switch box as well, so I had to redo that level again as well. Because I'm an idiot. But yeah, again, easy to forget that you're even racing. But you can win that level by not doing anything. You won't get any boxes, but you can win the level by doing absolutely nothing. And now it is time for our final level of the game. And our final atmosphere level of the game. This is Solar Bowler. And as you can probably guess by the name, we're in space. Indeed we are. Actually, this is I think this level does it, but you can see it on the back of the game's box art, which is odd. If you look at the back of the game's case, it actually shows quite a few differences. So some levels I can just say they're probably just taken from a different angle. The image might be taken from a different angle rather than during actual gameplay. You have Coco in like the China setting on a scooter. It looks like Tsunami, but it's in a 2D perspective. There's Arctic Antics, and it shows the part where Crash is like on that big frozen lake. And you got that penguin at the end. But there's 2 massive pits, and the boxes are in different locations. So the pits were removed at some point. There's a level where Crash is in the Jeep. It kind of looks a little bit like Jungle Rumble, but the Jeep comes out of some sort of... There's like some sort of hut behind you. And it's in the daytime. So I don't know if it's supposed to be an early screenshot of Jungle Rumble, but I just question, why are these on the back of the box? It's false advertisement right there. I don't even play through half of these levels. I think this was the only... There's a shot of this and there's a shot of... that sinking feeling. And they're like the only accurate ones there. So it's weird how there's a few differences. I'm interested as to why they got rid of those pits in Arctic Antics. Did they think it was too hard? They're not exactly close to each other. The level already began with you going along a narrow like a narrow bit of ground. Right, to find the gem here and to get the remaining boxes, you need to take the farthest path. And then you don't want to go along here, so it loops around. But that way it's just full of nitro crates. So take the farthest path to get the boxes. Go down here, and then you'll find the gem and a few boxes here. And then again, don't take the nitro path. I mean, you can if you want. You could probably maneuver yourself around it, but why would you do that when you can just go back along this way? The much safer way. Yeah, it's a bit of a sneaky gem, this one. There are a few moments where the path will split up, but you do need to take multiple paths. So you could say this is technically the backtracking level of this game, which I'm still grateful there aren't any of in this game. You're not backtracking against the camera, be it in 2D or 3D, because let's face it, even though they were 2D, Piston It Away and Cold Hard Crash were the worst levels in Crash 2. But we don't have to backtrack a single time here. Now, Crash 2 had it worse. Crash 1, you had to do it a tiny bit in the first level. It wasn't really that big of an issue. You had to do a tiny bit in Cortex power, but they weren't really that bad. It was Crash 2 where it really got bad. Digging It, Piston It Away, Cold Hard Crash, the Pits. You know, these were all levels that had you backtracking some fair distances with additional hazards, whether it's Cold Hard Crash's ice physics, and the fact that it was on a death route and everything. Then in Crash, why do we keep saying Crash? Piston It Away, you had to break one box further down the level, leave an enemy alive so you could bounce your way back up. And because it was a death route again, you couldn't die unless you went onto the death route first and then killed yourself. And in Digging It, you had the bees flying towards you from off-screen. Now, Crash 3 wasn't quite so bad, but you still had to take the yellow gem path in Dynamite, and then backtrack your way, and then make your way forwards again. Deep Trouble wasn't so bad. You had to get to the end, grab the box gem, then backtrack, because now the nitro crates were out of the way, and you can make your way to the secret route to get the red gem. And then there was Future Frenzy, which was awful. To go into the secret entrance by collecting enough relics, and then go through all of that, and then rather than it take you back to the beginning of the game, back to the beginning of the level, you then had to backtrack all the way to the beginning again, and then go forwards again. Make sure you don't die. And one of the Egyptian levels was pretty bad with it as well. Anyway, we've collected everything now. We've got all 30 gems, all 30 relics, 25 crystals, 6 power-ups, 46 gems. 106% done with platinum relics added on top of that. Only thing left to do now is see the good ending. So we have to go and face Crunch again. Have to redo Crunch time. And beat Crunch. Well, beat Crunch for the last time. That's all I can really say. And our ending will be slightly different. The boss fight itself, nothing is new here. Still run away from Rocco. So we've seen all of this before. The credits are pretty short, so I'm just going to start giving my final thoughts now. This game is great. It has a lot of problems, I will give it that, but I will never, ever understand why people hate this game so much. And I know I bring this up all the time, but I just question this. This game is perfectly fine. You know, I'll acknowledge, why the things that people don't like about it. The overuse of gimmicks. The fact that you're not really platforming in a lot of levels. There are some weird issues with like collision detection and a few bugs here and there. Certain things don't work. This game has crash droids where you will randomly die for no reason at all. But if you look, how much do people love Crash to Insanity? Again, if you love Crash to Insanity, that's perfectly fine. I'm not going to have any issues with you liking Crash to Insanity. I don't have any issues with you not liking this game. It's just I don't get why this game gets so much hate when Crash to Insanity, a game that is so unfinished, so broken, is usually considered to be the best Crash game when it isn't given to Crash 3 or maybe Crash 2. It's usually by far the most popular of the post-Naughty Dog games until the Insane trilogy came out. People love to Insanity. But what's wrong with this game? This game is far, far more polished than Crash to Insanity is. You're not gonna... Well, okay, in Crash Stories you'll randomly die. But you're not gonna die from walking on the floor in this game. Except for this part. Yeah, okay, yes, the game is lacking a bit in originality. But, you know, my other issue mainly with just Twinsanity is that it's boring. Now, that's just me. That's not really the game. That's just me. But Twinsanity is so broken. There's so many backwards decisions. You know, people complain about the invincibility in this game. At least it actually works. Twinsanity, you're going to have 5 seconds where you can't take damage, but you can't kill enemies. TNT crates and nitro crates are still instant death. There are so many backwards things in that game. Yet it's this game that gets all the hate, and I don't get it. What's wrong with this game? Apart from various things, but they're nothing compared to Twinsanity, and I just don't get it. Anyway, here's our good ending. Our proper ending for collecting all the gems. Okay, and there's loading screens. I'll give it that. Twinsanity has these as well, and they're really long. In fact, they're longer. So, yeah, it's not just this game.
Can't you ever let me win? What do you want from me, you creature? No, Uga Uga, I can explain. It's too late for that now! I don't think you should have done that.
Oh, no. Where am I? Hey, wait a second. That annoying scientist doesn't have control over me anymore. Where is that pathetic twerp?
There's no time for that now, Crunch.
Danger. Critical power overload in Evil Space Station. Run for your lives.
I think your energy bolt caused a slight chain reaction. It might be wise if we made our way to the escape pods. This is all your fault! If you hadn't ducked out of the way, none of this would have happened!
This doesn't look good.
Hey, any of you guys need a ride?
Crash, Coco, Aku Aku. I'm grateful to all of you. If it weren't for you, I'd still be under the control of Dr. Cortex. Thank you for believing in me, guys.
You're welcome, Crunch. Hey, do you think that's the last we'll see of Dr. Cortex and Uka Uka?
I'd like to believe that, my children, but somehow I doubt that very much.
Idiot! Fool! Nincompoop! You've landed us in the middle of nowhere! Ouch! Whoa! No, wait! I can explain! Ah! I'll get my revenge, Crash Bandicoot! Just you wait!
And that's it. So Crash to Insanity will follow up from there. They'll end up frozen in a block of ice and stumble upon Insanity Island 3 years later. Yeah, anyway, this credit sequence is actually pretty boring, but yeah. Game programmers Michael Jackson! Wait, what? Alright then. Yeah, again, I just don't get why people hate this game. The controls are great. You know, Crash controls beautifully in this game. The slide jump feels a little bit off, but other than that, I think he controls beautifully. Yeah, you don't need the tiptoe, but still, he controls great. His jumps feel just right. The soundtrack, I mean, my god, people don't tend to complain about the music. People don't rarely bring up the music. But the soundtrack is amazing. It really is just fantastic music all around. Any of the gimmicks that are returning from the previous games control better than they did before. The scuba diving is way better. The copter pack is way better than the jetpack. I can maybe question the glider a little bit because of the camera. But other than that, I think it controls just fine. It's just Crash Droids is incredibly glitchy. The minecart, where you're not really doing much in it, that controls fine. The submarine is terrible. The submarine and the mech and the Jeep. The Jeep only in one level, though. The Jeep is a problem in Smoking the Bandicoot. It's just fine in Jungle Rumble. But the submarine is awful. The Firefly is only used for one level, and it's fine. It's just on the slow side. And yeah, the snowboard and the scooter, they're perfectly fine. I have no issues with them. The minecart is fine. Yeah, I only really have an issue with 3 of the gimmicks in this level. There's too many gimmicks, I think there's only about 9 levels in the game of the 30 that are nothing but platforming. You know, it's unfocused. That's my main issue with Wrath of Cortex. The lack of focus and some of the collision detection, mainly in Gold Rush. You know, the game isn't perfect. But, you know, even now, after the Insane Trilogy, I still think it's the best Crash game. It's the true Crash 4, mainly because it is the 4th Crash game. That's my only reason I really say that. I still prefer this over the It's About Time. Yeah, it's much easier. There's no backtracking. The Platinum Relics are way easier to get. Yeah, I really do think that this is still the best Crash game ever made. And unless the next Crash game can change my mind, I think it's going to stay that way. So, thank you all for watching. I will see you guys next time.